Andy, how are you and how's everything going at Brentford?
Yeah, not too bad. And actually, you're talking to me today. It's been our first day back after, I think, 8 weeks. It's been something like that since we've all been locked down. And yes, it's been a pleasure to get back and out on the grass and do some training with the lads.
Brilliant. Was it much different today? Was it, obviously compared to what it normally would be or?
I think it's like everybody that, it's a completely different feel to meeting up with people again. You haven't seen people for 8 weeks and you can't shake hands with them. And that sort of communication and things is a big part of most football clubs. And, not being able to communicate with a handshake or a hug or whatever it may be, it's, it kind of feels a little bit weird. But once you get on the training field, it's different because you're in small groups.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the distances that you have to keep and things like that, I think some of that happens naturally. Obviously, we're not going into full contact or anything like that. We can't do that yet. But the essence of going out and training and being able to feel a ball again is a fantastic feeling. And hopefully we can get through these phases quite quickly and be into full contact and start games again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Andy, you touched upon starting games again soon. Obviously, that looks for the foreseeable future that's more than likely going to be without fans for the time being. Do you think that's obviously going to have some impact? Has there been any sort of talk about that going into games? So the players just want to get back at it?
No, I mean, there's been very little talk at the moment about games starting because we don't know when it's going to be. Yeah. We don't know what it's going to look like. We're pretty much sure that it's going to be without fans. We know that. But what the games are going to consist of, whether we continue the league, we go straight to playoffs, or whether it's just completely null and void, we still don't know that. I mean, I don't think that will be the case, but hopefully we'll get back to playing games of some sort. We all want to play in front of fans, and it will be a very different feel without the fans there. But I think everybody, putting everybody's health and all of those feelings to one side from a sporting point of view, just to get out there and have some sport on the telly would be fantastic for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So Andy, I'm going to dive straight in. So obviously you've had a playing career yourself, Hereford and Grimsby, and obviously various clubs with your coaching.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, which one do you prefer, having done both?
I'm lucky that you mentioned two of my latter clubs there, and I was an apprentice at Tottenham. I was lucky enough to spend 3 years at Derby as a pro as well. Although the number of games I actually played in those times was minimal, but I was lucky enough to be at some really good clubs. Never really hit the dizzy heights that I wanted to. I had the career that I thought I might have been able to achieve. So from that point of view, I'm not saying it was disappointing, but never really achieved what I would have liked to as a player. And coaching's the next best thing. If I could choose between playing and coaching, when I was 20, 21, playing all day. But now I'm the age I'm at, and I wasn't fortunate enough to have that career as a player. Coaching is certainly the next best thing to being involved, to being able to give something back to young players, to be able to support older players and help and improve players. It's fantastic feeling when you feel like you've achieved something in that way. And again, I've been really lucky to be at some fantastic clubs. Spent a long time at Stoke, 12 years at Stoke, and we had some great times. Promoted, cup final, playing in Europe, and now to be at Brentford, which again is a great club in the Championship and pushing for promotion. Really good clubs to be at, and couldn't ask for any more as a coach, really.
Yeah, you touch upon there, Andy, and it's something that I've always remembered. I'm pretty sure it's Brian Clough that said the unfulfilled player makes for a better coach, and and obviously you've had still a very good playing career, but you said you would like to have gone higher. Do you think that's pushed you further as a coach?
Yeah, I think I've managed to find a way to a position as a coach that I couldn't get to as a player, in terms of a level. coaching in the Premier League, and that was something that I've had to work hard to achieve that. And I think you find that same sort of desire and determination that you had as a player, and you draw on a lot of those skills and attributes, and learning how to deal with people within the game, to manage the game, your understanding of the game. So yeah, I think all of those things have helped my desire to want to be a better coach. And then once you start to get a flavour, you get an appetite, and you push harder and harder.
And moving on to that, then, when you talk about the clubs that you coached at, obviously one that sticks out is your time at Stoke. A player within that is quite a big name that always sticks out to me. I just wondered what it's like to work with a player like Jack Butland.
Yeah, he's a top professional and a top goalkeeper. He's played for his country, represented his country, and I think he's still the youngest goalkeeper to ever represent England. So he's a top talent, and a fantastic person to work with and coach. So no, fantastic. And again, my time at Stoke, I've been really lucky to have some top goalkeepers. We started in the Premier League with when we got promoted, Thomas Sorenson joined us, Danish international. We then brought in Asmir Begovic, and Thomas and Asmir fought it out for a couple of years, and then we brought in Jack. So been really fortunate to work with some top goalkeepers at Stoke.
Yeah, and did you have them all in three goalkeepers at the same time, Andy, kind of fighting it out, or was it?
But at one point, the three were at the club at the same time, and they were fighting it out. They were all at different stages of their career, but all pushing each other and competing for a number one spot in different ways. We bought Jack as a 19-year-old from Birmingham. He'd been on loan to Cheltenham, played I think 30 games at Birmingham in the Championship, and we brought him in to compete with Asmir and Thomas. Asmir had sort of at that time maybe just knocked Thomas out of the number one position, and was performing brilliantly in the Premier League. And Thomas was the ultimate competitor, was still playing for his country. Got his 101st cap for Denmark and captaining his country, and so yeah, it was a fantastic group to work with in terms of the competition between them and the levels that they were all at.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that personally as a coach? Because obviously goalkeeping, there's only going to be one of them that gets picked. How do you deal with that sort of competition? Because you've got to sort of handle them all.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing to say is they're all fantastic characters, and they all support each other, or did support each other. And as competitive as they were on a daily basis, they were really supportive of each other once they crossed the white line, or the other one crossed the white line. So they were really supportive of each other. And I've got to say, all the goalkeepers that I've worked with, I bring Lee Grant into that as well, who's now at Manchester United, and he came on loan and had a fantastic season for us. And he was unlucky, played while Jack was injured, and then Jack came back from his injury and pushed Lee out again. But Lee was so supportive of him in that following season. It was fantastic to see. And my job really is to sort of manage them on a daily basis in terms of their expectations, and do that along with the manager, and keep them motivated and keep pushing them. Help them learn, help them improve. Tiny little areas at that elite level, and they'll all have different aims at one point. It might be for the young one to push the number one and to knock him off his spot. It might be for the older, more senior goalkeeper to earn another contract, to impress the manager, to be able to earn another contract and keep himself at that level for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you talk about the manager there, Andy. What sort of did he give you the ownership? What was that relationship like? And did you have control of the goalkeepers and you report to him? Eric touched upon it, Man U. It was sort of Sir Alex Ferguson give him the ownership, but he would intervene if he felt there was something.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky in terms of all the managers that I've worked with, Tony Pulis, Mark Hughes, and then more recently, Gary Rowett, Nathan Jones, Paul Lambert. And they've all allowed me the ownership to take charge of the goalkeeping group. They obviously pick the team at the end of the day. There'll be a conversation that we'll have around how people are playing and their expectations. And if the manager feels they need to step in, then that's what he'll do. But there will always be a fluid conversation between myself and the manager, and sometimes for myself it might mean that I'll say to the manager, I think this one you need to deal with. I think you can give him a little nudge on this one, and it's a joint effort. It really is. But no, I mean, all the managers I've worked under have been fantastic and allowed me that ownership and responsibility to report back to them and to work alongside them.
When you were obviously at that level, was there any sort of learning curves in your coaching career that particularly stand out to you?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you're constantly learning. I mean, there's been a lot of learnings in terms of, I think the first thing would be, managing players' loads and workloads across a season, working through different periods, Christmas period, end of season, pushing towards the end of the season. And then really, the crux of it is when you come to match day and having to manage the players and manage the group around a match day to get the best out of them. We would tend to go on sort of little runs. In the Premier League, it's very difficult to keep winning every week. So you inevitably you might lose one, draw one, and then the next one we need to win this one to get some points on the board. And he's keeping that fire in everybody's belly and the hunger to be able to go out and really show that desire and keep the ball out of the net at the end of the day and make the right decisions.
Brilliant. And as I know you mentioned Thomas Sorenson, we've been obviously from the northeast. A goalkeeper I used to watch a lot from his Sunderland days, and obviously I looked up to him quite a lot. What was it like working with Thomas? And secondly, Thomas retired at the age of 41. Was his physical conditioning the biggest factor for him to be able to play for as long as he did?
Certainly, the answer to your last question was, his physical condition was fantastic and still is. He looks after himself extremely well, and even since he's finished playing, he's doing some unbelievable events. He's cycled across Australia and across America and things like that, and really looking after himself. He's a top professional. Again, I'll say I was lucky. I mean, we're the same age. So again, coming into it, he'd been at Aston Villa when we signed him. We took him on a free. He'd got a good international pedigree and Premier League pedigree behind him. And that was the experience that we felt that we needed to start us off in the Premier League and make our push. And he certainly brought that. And he was fantastic, especially the first season. He was outstanding in that first season. Won us lots and lots of points. Big character. Talks a lot. Very vocal, but very calm with it, and has a real good understanding of winning and what was needed at the time to win games. And he was top professional, and couldn't give him any more credit really.
Brilliant.
Do you think, you talk about Sorenson keeping himself really fit and healthy, do you think now that there's a lot more onto that, you've got more nutritionists working with the club, you've got more psychology, and you think players are expected to do that more? Whereas in Sorenson's time, there was some players that were known not to concentrate on that so much. Yeah,
I think Thomas probably came in on the back of that actually, and was one of those that probably were the fitter type of goalkeepers in terms of a stereotype.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think the game has moved on so much over this last 15, 20 years since Thomas would have become a professional. what's required of a goalkeeper in terms of the physicality, the amount of running movements that they have to do, how dynamic they need to be, how explosive they need to be, and the way that the game's played now, just in general. He's, being fit and is a massive part of every goalkeeper's regime at the moment. And like you say, there's loads of sports science, nutrition, strength conditioning out there that the support that they're given, and that will, really enables them to be a top peak fitness every week of the year, really.
Yeah, you talk about the role of the goalkeepers there, sort of adapting as years have gone on, and obviously something that's come prominent in the last 10 years. Can you play out from the back, not just expected to do the save? Have you had to change as a coach as more of that's come in?
Yes, certainly I've had to adapt. My career, if you like, a coaching career over 15 to 20 years. It's changed immensely, and the weight that you have to give to that distribution element of the game has changed, and I think obviously that seems to be the way that the game is moving more and more. You are that 11th member of the team. It's not 10 plus 1, and you are a real team player. You're adding to overload. You're allowing other players to get higher up the pitch. And attack in different areas, and also allowing you to defend from higher up the pitch with the goalkeeper taking up higher start positions and that sweeper keeper type role. So it's certainly changed, and as a coach you've got to keep adapting, and I think that's we talk about what we said earlier about desire to stay at the top and learning from the game, and that's something you have to do as well as a coach. You can't stand still and think, well, I'm here and I've done it, because someone will go running past you. So, you've got to keep adapting and moving with the times, and keep looking for that something new and that little edge that's going to get you the wins.
Brilliant. And Andy, this is something that I think is important. We ask all guests, because of all the young goalkeepers that are going to be listening out there. Is there any advice to them that you could give who are wanting to sort of achieve the things you did as a player and to play alongside some of the levels that you've coached? Yeah,
I think firstly you need to work hard. You need to be dedicated. Listen to your coaches, and also go and look for ideas yourself. You can't be pigeonholed as one type of goalkeeper. Find out for yourself what your strengths and weaknesses are. Obviously work on them. Work out what type of goalkeeper you might be, or what goalkeeper you want to be. And there's so much stuff for you to go out and research, so much video for you out there that you guys are putting on, and courses that you're putting on, and fantastic things for people to view and go and learn from, and be a sponge, soak it all up, go and learn as much as you can. And filter out the bits that suit you and the bits that don't. Once you go out and you play, you have to learn from the experiences you have, whether they be positive or negative.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing, is how quickly you can learn from the good things, to continue to do those, or the negatives. Right, I'm not going to do that again, or I'm going to do it in a different way. And don't hide, no excuses, and keep learning all the time.
That's absolutely fantastic. Well, Andy, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really interesting to hear your insight on the coaching and on the player aspect too. Everyone at home, I'm sure you've enjoyed it, listening to Andy as much as we have. Andy, thank you so much again for coming on.
Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for everything.
And thank you very much. So thank you all for tuning in again. Again, absolutely brilliant insight from Andy there, and we'll catch you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.